Dr. Brandon.
Dr. Morgentaler.
What a pleasure to be on another podcast of the Sex Doctors with you.
Thank you. How are you today?
I'm great.
Good. Well, I thought we'd start by reading one of the questions on from our website from a listener. And it's a fabulous one. So he's 71 years old. He says he has a very healthy sex life, but he was curious. He says, and I'll quote this.
Before we start, a small disclaimer. The Sex Doctors podcast is not a substitute for medical or psychological advice.
Short of receiving testosterone treatment from a qualified physician, is there anything at all on the over-the-counter market that has any value whatsoever with regards to claims of boosting testosterone levels? There is so much snake oil everywhere that you look when you walk down the supplement aisles. The funniest one I've seen is called horny goat weed, and I saw it at a local CVS. So he's wondering,
right?
What's worth the money? This is actually, let me tell you, this is a huge business. So in 2024, it was almost a $4 billion business.
The supplement business in general, or about male stuff?
For testosterone.
Yeah.
Supplements for testosterone alone in 2024 were almost $4 billion.
Yeah.
And by 2030, it's going to be approaching $7 billion. So like 5 years from now, it's about a $7 billion business. This is a huge business. They're very invested in getting people to believe that their supplements will raise testosterone levels.
Right.
So talk to me.
Yeah. So I actually published a paper on this with my colleague Luis Reyes Vallejo from Mexico City. And it was called something like the T-boosters, what's the evidence?
Mm-hmm.
And so, we went through a bunch of these maca, boron,
ashwagandha,
yeah. And, so there are some studies. So first of all the studies are very small.
Mm-hmm.
Short, but some of them actually that are reasonably well designed do show some improvement. The ashwagandha actually may be one of the most beneficial. The amount that testosterone rises in them, was statistically significant, but whether it was really meaningful, in terms of whether a guy, let's say your testosterone goes up by 75 points.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to really feel much? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. And what was interesting is that some of them, because these are natural substances, some of them, the source can vary from one study to another. Like they're not all the same. Potency isn't the same. The source isn't the same.
Right. It's not FDA regulated, so they can say whatever they want. No one's researching their claims.
Yeah, right. So, they're not put the rigorous process that drugs are. So the short answer is there may be something about ashwagandha.
Mm-hmm.
Fenugreek, probably not. Maca is another one. Looks like probably not. An interesting one is that men who are deficient in zinc actually have low levels of testosterone, on average lower. And if you supplement those people who are deficient in zinc, testosterone levels can go up. Now, I don't know how many people are being measured for zinc out there.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, my doctor's never taken zinc levels for me. But listen, there's something there. As a rule, I think people are better off getting a legitimate treatment rather than spending their money and a lot of time and effort seeking these other things.
So my guess, can I say, and this is just a guess, is the guys that are looking at these supplements might have a suspicion or know for a fact that their testosterone level's already normal. So they don't feel like if they go to a physician, they're going to get any
could be
support.
Yeah.
So they're looking for taking a normal level and making it higher. And that's probably the group that's going to have the least benefit from like ashwagandha, I'm guessing, because the men that would have the most benefit would already have a pretty low level, I would think.
Yeah, I think that's right. And by the way, if you have a completely normal testosterone level, let's say 500, and you raise it up to 575 or 600 or 650, those guys aren't going to notice anything. Like there's already enough to go around.
Right. Will it change their muscle mass? Will it have any other impact that they wouldn't necessarily feel?
You need pretty high levels to change muscle mass.
Yeah.
But you never say never. It's possible.
Well, what about the placebo effect? Like
huge.
I would think so. It's
Huge.
evident everywhere.
So in some of the studies that we reviewed, testosterone levels did go up compared to baseline, but not higher than placebo, which also went up in some of these studies.
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem with all of these things. My general counsel for people is that if you think you're deficient in testosterone, get testosterone. The other group, you mentioned the people who are normal.
Yeah.
But there's also people who like natural.
Uh-huh.
And they don't like medications, right?
Testosterone isn't a medicine, it's a hormone.
It's an excellent point. I take your very, very point taken, Dr. Brandon.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's true. And the point I was going to make is that the testosterone, that we get, that we use, testosterone cypionate, enanthate, testosterone undecanoate, once it's actually in the bloodstream, it separates out and it becomes bioidentical. It's the same exact testosterone that the body generates on its own. So those other components of it are meant to prolong the half-life, how long it survives in the body and stuff. But the active part is just the regular testosterone that gets released. So you could make the argument testosterone is natural. People already have it.
Right.
If they're low in it, then they deserve to be treated to normalize it, especially if they have symptoms or signs. So anyway, I don't want to tell people that there's no possibility some of these things are going to be helpful. They may, in fact, be helpful to a small degree. But I think if somebody really thinks they're deficient, get your blood checked. And if you're low, I would go on testosterone.
So I'm just this psychologist is throwing out a guess that really most of the supplement market isn't going to the guys who are low in testosterone. It's going to the guys who are solidly in a normal, in a healthy testosterone range.
Oh, when you said this psychologist, you meant yourself.
I did.
Yeah. Well, if I were to respond to that psychologist, I would agree with her. Yeah. People are looking for an edge. They want to be more muscular.
Right.
Yeah, they want to feel better. Yeah.
But I think your point was important. Like if you're already in the normal range, you're not going to feel that increase, right?
No.
You're already there.
Now, large increases in testosterone, large increases will increase muscle mass, no question. No question. And but I don't think these supplements are going to get them there.
Yeah. And there could be all kinds of stuff in those supplements. Since it's not regulated, there could be stuff you don't want to be taking.
That's right. The safety of them is relatively unknown.
Right. So I think that, buyer beware.
Very good. Caveat emptor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, whoever sent that question in. That was a great question.
Yeah, good.
And so I thought maybe today as you know, being my husband, I'm becoming more and more concerned about the impact of tech, AI, sex tech on humanity.
Right.
Like I'm trying very hard to keep an open mind, but I am increasingly concerned. The more research comes out, the more data comes out, the more this technology advances. So one of the things I thought would be an interesting quick little discussion today is what impact it could have, and we're just guessing, about this huge popularity of hentai porn.
Hentai porn.
Yeah.
What's that?
So let's talk about hentai porn is porn that comes out of Japan, and it's been around for kind of a while, but it's taken off more recently. I don't know. I'm going to say in the last maybe 6 or 7 years in the US, but it continues to gain in popularity. So especially amongst younger age groups. So what it is, it's cartoon porn, but it's not cartoon like Donald Duck,
Yeah.
It's cartoon like.
Although I've seen some porn with Donald Duck.
Have you? Have you really? I wouldn't be surprised, but
actually, I don't know that I have, but I'm sure it exists.
I'm sure
they do it with all these characters.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Video game characters and stuff. That's very common. But hentai in particular is considered an aggressive kind of porn. It's cartoon like figures, creatures, but they're not human. Oftentimes they're sort of a combination of human and animal.
Right.
It's the kind of porn like it's tentacle porn. So there might be a depicted female.
Right.
But then the
yeah.
Right. So but it's aggressive. Like that's uncontested. So it's surreal porn.
Right.
It's stuff that humans can't do. And they don't even have the body apparatus to do it.
Right.
So it's fantastical, in an extreme
I
kind
thought
of
you were
way.
going to say fantastic, but really fantastical. Yeah, that's a good word, by the way.
Oh,
Like
thanks.
that word. Yeah.
So that's what it is, and it's incredibly popular worldwide and also in the US, but by far it's the most popular amongst the 25 and younger crowd.
Amazing.
Yeah. So by far. So just to give you some data, I read Pornhub or read, it's
You
online.
read Pornhub? You know,
Year in review.
yeah,
Let me finish
I
that
just look at the
statement.
pictures.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what you say about Playboy, right?
That was good.
I get Playboy for the articles. Well, really,
So Pornhub is the world's most popular English speaking porn site.
yeah.
Okay, and Pornhub, and I'm sure everyone knows of Pornhub. If not,
No,
they've
not everybody.
been on Pornhub.
No, some people don't know.
So it's super popular.
Yeah.
The most popular in this country, certainly. And they publish every year a year in review called Pornhub Year in Review, which I would highly encourage our listeners to, if you have any curiosity at all, it's quite a learning experience.
Yeah.
To go on porn. Have you ever gone to the year in review, or you just wait for me to talk about it? 'Cause
I just hear you talk
I-
about it. Yeah.
I offer updates every year.
Yeah.
but
I get the Cliff Notes
you
version.
you do. So Pornhub Year in Review, you can see 2024 now, and they'll have 2025 out soon enough, and they'll tell you everything from like the amount of time people are watching, what they're searching for, the favorite porn stars, like all this. I mean, it's just really, it's a fascinating education in pornography. So, what?
Yeah. Well, I think it's required reading.
It's very fascinating.
Yeah.
The first time I stumbled on that, I was like I was
Yeah.
watching for like
But there is
hours.
really interesting stuff in there.
There is, and
Yeah.
it really shows kind of like the culture of pornography, like what people
And
find
how it's
exciting,
changing.
how it's changing. Right.
So hentai porn, I mean, I only learned about it through you a few years ago. I never knew what that thing is called.
Mhm.
And now it's the most popular form of
Worldwide,
porn.
the most popular porn, and also by far the most popular porn in the 25 and younger crowd.
They're not interested in real
They're not watching
human-
people.
They're not watching people.
Not
They're
so
just
much.
watching.
Like, that's an extreme statement.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody watches people on occasion,
But
but
not as much as this.
I think that if you're getting down to business, you're going to the hentai, is what I'm guessing,
Unbelievable.
based on
Yeah.
what the stats show. So I think it's really worth our considering what that means, or what that could mean.
Yeah.
So we don't know what that means. And, types of porn come and go as popular. They're kind of reflections of the culture in a certain
We
way.
may not know, but we have opinions.
We do, you and I. Yes, we do. So popular porn changes even within a few years. What
Yeah.
people really like will change. But
Yeah.
hentai's been like, it came up strong. Like in 2018, it was the second most popular porn searched for in the US in 2018. And at that time, the most popular was lesbian. Okay. But as of 2019, hentai has been the most popular in the US. And lesbian has now fallen to number 4. So, there's a little bit of like, the point being, like, lesbians always up there. Like, guys love that, and women too. But
Yeah.
3/4 of the time spent
But-
on Pornhub is men.
But Marianne, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
The most popular form of porn is non-human porn now.
That's the bottom line here. Yeah.
So what do you make of it?
So, and let me say, this isn't just a reflection of what's going on, what people are masturbating to with porn, but, romance novels, like I said, so about 3/4 of the time spent on Pornhub is by men. Okay. Women are definitely on Pornhub, but by far it's males that
Less.
are right. Now, what women tend to gravitate to more that men don't is romance novels. Those are probably much more popular than most of our
Yeah,
readers
guys
realize.
guys
Guys don't watch it,
yeah.
and women don't talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's like guys don't talk about their porn reading or their porn watching. Women don't talk about their romance novel
Right.
reading. It's like, it's almost, I think, seen as kind of like anti-feminist or whatever. Like, people kind of tend not
Right.
to discuss it. But it's very, very popular. But the romance novels of today are very different from even like the what was it? What was that?
50 Shades
Yes,
of Grey.
thank you. So those were humans. 50 Shades of Grey
Yeah.
were humans.
And now?
And now it's called romantasy because it's like romantic fantasy.
Romantasy.
So it's it's kind of like half human and half werewolf
Oh,
or, outer space alien or whatever. So even with the romance novels, they're not reading about human romance. So the question from a sex therapist.
it's almost parallel to the hentai in a way,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's blurring reality and fantasy,
Yeah.
and nobody seems to be interested in watching or thinking about humans. It seems.
You may not see the obvious connection here, but I'll tell you that sort of this gaming world
Uh-huh.
came about as kind of a complete surprise to me. Like, I didn't get it. Like back in when I was 25 or 30, like I had some machine that could play Pong or something, like this old game,
I played
hooked
Pong. I remember we got that for Christmas
hooked
right
up
when it
to
came out.
hooked up to your TV set or whatever else, and it was fine. But this gaming world now is huge.
It's
Nvidia, which is the most valuable stock in the world, or the company is capitalized more than most countries, um, really got its start out of gaming.
Mm-hmm.
It was a chip.
I didn't
It
realize
was
that.
a chip that was designed. It had all this capacity because gaming requires so much computer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
showing my expertise in technology. Computers need a lot of stuff in
They
order
do.
to game,
Yeah.
and then people started using it because of its extra capacity and its processing to be able to do AI with it. So that's really what sent it going. But it was a game. It was really a gaming a stock for about gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole world of gaming and the characters, people live in those worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me it's connected somehow.
That would make sense
That
to me.
that whole generation that grew up with it, is their world isn't so much
Reality.
the reality,
Yeah.
tangible world you
Right.
can feel and see and
Mhm.
hear. It's this world with headphones and
Mhm.
visual and
Mhm.
graphics
Mhm.
and fantastical
Right.
stuff.
Right. So altered reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I want to say that I sincerely do not care what people masturbate to. I do not care, and it doesn't matter.
Me too.
Okay. But the thing is, it's interesting, these changes, and the question is, what impact will that have on future
Well, I have to
humans?
wonder that if somebody is, I mean, a lot of the stuff that teenagers, their sexual exposure as teenagers influences what becomes their sexual objects as they get older.
Exactly. So it's called an arousal template. It used to be called a love map. That sort of came out of favor, that kind of
I
concept.
like that term.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like
Although it's more
considered
about it's
old-fashioned.
more about a lust map than a love map, but go ahead.
Yeah, so an arousal template
Yeah.
is basically that so many people and their early experiences of arousal, that could be age 10,
Yeah.
really early,
Yeah.
when their body is first starting to respond with hormones,
Yeah.
and then something turns them on, and it could be, feet. I mean, it could be anything,
Yeah.
right? It sort of gets paired with that arousal.
Yeah.
And then that becomes part of their template, which means for some people, that's a template that's required in order for them to like take themselves over the level into having an orgasm, like
Right.
go over the mark.
Right.
So that's an arousal template. Now, what we know as therapists is arousal templates are not very flexible. Now, on occasion, people, their arousal template will kind of like, I don't know, for lack of a better word, mature as they do or something like that. But it's very common for people's arousal templates to stay pretty unchanged in their mind, such that throughout their life, that's a place they go to rely on to have an orgasm, for
Well,
example.
so using lay language, how I think of this,
Mhm.
it seems to me that if a young person had an early powerful sexual experience that really turned them on,
Yeah,
and it didn't involve humans,
that's the question.
then what happens later on when they're encountering humans?
So
Or maybe they're not even interested in humans.
Well,
For
that's what I
sex.
wonder, and time will tell. I mean, we really are only wondering now. But what I can also tell you is arousal templates get formed not just around positive experiences, but neutral, like I said, feet, or negative. So
Right.
someone could be like hurt sexually, abused.
Spanked, get spanked and get aroused for whatever reason.
Right.
Right? We're not judging.
No.
But it can happen.
Right.
And then spanking can become part of
Exactly.
what somebody needs in order to get off.
Exactly. And I have worked many times in my career with people who've had an arousal template that was formed around something that they would rather forget.
Yeah.
But it's there and difficult to remove.
Right.
So the point is, it doesn't have to be a happy, positive experience to be formed in your mind in that
So
way.
if somebody has their sexual experiences with something that has tentacles,
Right.
that's going to be hard to recreate in real life.
Well, so I mean, that's what. Well, you're laughing, but this is something I worry about for like. So the average age of seeing porn in general is 12.
Young.
And that's
That's
average.
average. Some
That
are
means
younger.
many are younger. And so if they're seeing something extreme on Pornhub and it gets like seared into their brain, like what's that going to mean for them down the road? Well, hopefully they'll develop a few arousal templates. They'll have a choice and they won't have
Right.
to rely on that. But, everyone's different. And
Yeah.
like I said, as a sex therapist, I've dealt with a variety of folks that were really traumatized by their template.
Yeah.
So the question is, it's a great one that you're asking, and that's really what I want us to be thinking about is what will this mean for these young people at 20 when this is what they're watching? With at 30, are they going to go, wow, now I really want a human body. I really want a body that, could say no to me and is limited by the reality of what a body can do and all of this. Like it might be a leap for us to expect these folks to decide that humans are attractive to them. Some of them will, of course, be able to make that transition, but I'm not convinced that they all will. And I think time will tell. And I think we need to be thinking about this. Like Pornhub publishes a stat that if you're age 25 or younger, you're 200% more likely to look at hentai than any other kind of porn. 200%. So that's a lot.
Yeah.
So what's that going to mean for these people if they decide they want a human relationship? And I'm not convinced that they're going to necessarily decide they want a human relationship.
Right.
I mean, some will, but not all. So, yeah, that's what I feel like this is missing in our discussions, not you and I, but in our cultural discussions that we need to be thinking about what we're teaching, what young people are learning, and is it going to be good for them? Like if it's good for them, that's fine. It's not about what's good, for us. It's what's good for them.
Right.
And I'm not convinced this is good for them.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, that's something. Well, listen, I'm glad that we're having this conversation, and I hope that our listeners are happy to be hearing about it too. Not that this is a happy topic, but it's something that I think we have to pay attention to.
Right. And I
Yeah.
want to talk more, not today, but about adolescence because we have more research coming out now about young people, the same kind of age group experiencing what they call brain rot, what neurologists will call is difficulty with memory and decision making and executive function. We also see the same group showing us some really extreme emotional experiences of depression and stress and suicidal thoughts. So this is not a group that's finding life particularly pleasurable.
Yeah. That sounds like an important conversation to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, we'll talk more about it.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Brandon, thus ends another episode of The Sex Doctors. And you can find all our content at thesexdoctorspodcast.com.
Yeah.
And we hope you'll subscribe. And if you do, you won't miss any of this important
Right. And keep
content.
sending us the questions and the comments. It's really fun to get them, and your questions are great. And we'll continue to address them.
Bye-bye.
But I'm not convinced that they all will. And I think time will tell. And I think we need to be thinking about this. Like Pornhub publishes a stat that if you're age 25 or younger, you're 200% more likely to look at hentai than any other kind of porn. 200%. So that's a lot.
Yeah.
So what's that going to mean for these people if they decide they want a human relationship? And I'm not convinced that they're going to necessarily decide they want a human relationship.
Right.
I mean, some will, but not all. So, yeah, that's what I feel like this is missing in our discussions, not you and I, but in our cultural discussions, that we need to be thinking about what we're teaching, what young people are learning, and is it going to be good for them? Like, if it's good for them, that's fine. It's not about what's good, for us. It's what's good for them.
Right.
And I'm not convinced this is good for them.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, well, that's something. Well, listen, I'm glad that we're having this conversation, and I hope that our listeners are happy to be hearing about it too. Not that this is a happy topic, but it's something that I think we have to pay attention to.
Right. And I
Yeah.
want to talk more, not today, but about adolescence, because we have more research coming out now about young people, the same kind of age group, experiencing what they call brain rot, what neurologists will call is difficulty with memory and decision making and executive function. We also see the same group showing us some really extreme emotional experiences of depression and stress and suicidal thoughts. So this is not a group that's finding life particularly pleasurable.
Yeah, that sounds like an important conversation to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, we'll talk more about it.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Brandon, thus ends another episode of The Sex Doctors. And you can find all our content at thesexdoctorspodcast.com.
Yeah.
And we hope you'll subscribe. And if you do, you won't miss any of this important
Right. And keep
content.
sending us the questions and the comments. It's really fun to get them, and your questions are great. And we'll continue to address them.
Bye-bye.